Hopkins was gonna fight Kovalev. That was huge. That was huge for a number of reasons.
Hopkins,
Why?
Kovalev.
There was a number of reasons why. Because before that fight, Bernard Hopkins will only fight on Showtime.
That's true.
And he left Showtime because he got a deal with Golden Boy. He got a 5% stake of Golden Boy, and you're set. But then he went from Showtime to HBO. And he kept on saying something in the press conference that kind of like got to my head. He was saying, "Oh, the Cold War has ended. Like the Cold War has ended. Like this war between the networks has ended because of my move that I just did. I just did a power play. Now other boxers could come to HBO and fight." And when I was saying like, no, the Cold War just evolved, dude. Like, that's what ended up happening. And now it has evolved into the mainstream networks, Fox, ESPN, Danza, Showtime. So it's going to be interesting how we're all playing it out. But at the end of the day, all these...
should turn into a world war, huh?
It's going to be...
It's all everybody for themselves.
Yeah. So you'll see that. But the good thing about having boxing in the mainstream TV, like Fox and all those networks, is that more people are going to obviously watch it, right? Instead of paying subscription. But when we start seeing suspect calls, mismatches... people are going to start questioning like, hey, why is this happening?
True.
And I think that's going to create not pressure on the promoters and the boxers. There's going to be more accountability on the WBC to like, hey, manage this. That Ali Act, that was created in 2000. And that's like the government coming in trying to regulate a sport. That tells you like how bad like things are.
And it's interesting that you mentioned WBC because I feel like these organizations or councils, whatever you want to call them, they don't get really held accountable, right? It all falls on the promoters or the boxers. Like, oh, this guy's cherry picking, this guy's cherry picking. But at the end of the day, it's the organizations who are, allowing these fights to happen, right?
I mean, that's where the what do they call it? The voluntary defenses come in.
Yes.
Right. It's like for every other fight, you have a voluntary defense, and that's where like cherry picking occurs. And then they're trying to combat that by having you fight your mandatories. But then again, sometimes your mandatories are not.
Yeah, most of the time it's like, who is this guy?
Yeah,
right.
Exactly. Because every alphabet organization has a different mandatory rankings. Are just like whoever they want to rank. And so
mandatories are like Randy Orton, dude. Like out of nowhere, this person just comes up like, who is this boxer?
Yeah.
Look at Randy. Oh, come on. He's trying to do the same thing he did to
Like, how did you get that spot? Like, I've been watching boxing for 5 years and I didn't even know your name, Like, that's what happens in mandatory fights. But I think that's where we should, like, leave off Al Heyman. I'll let people, decide what they think about Al Heyman. But I think Al Heyman has his pros and cons. But I like the fact when these new networks and promoters like Bob Arum and Golden Boy Oscar were saying, oh, it's good that we have boxing on the mainstream. Like, now we can broadcast our ESPN. Like, nah. Al Heyman beat you to it. Yeah. And this happened in 2015. How come you weren't saying anything about it? Yeah. Oh, it's because you lost your fighters and you're like basically jealous, And that's my perception as why HBO had to throw in the towel.
Because, they didn't have any more power moves.
And I think that's one area, since we were talking about the mismatches and the questioning about why does this fighter fight somebody. So then we had news regarding the WBC mandatories, and I thought that was really interesting.
Yeah. So the WBC they hold their yearly, convention where they talk, where they outline who the mandatories for the upcoming year are. You have a whole year to plan. Sometimes fighters just fight 2-3 times a year, so that's where they outline their mandatories for their current champions, their current title holders. So you guys want to start from the top, heavyweight?
Yep.
All the way to the bottom?
Go ahead.
So in the heavyweight, the WBC champion, of course, is Deontay Wilder, and he's scheduled to fight, as we mentioned earlier, Tyson Fury. And so, do you guys want to guess who the mandatory for? It's Dominic Brazil.
For Deontay?
The winner.
Was the winner of that Deontay Wilder Fury fight.
Now, I actually seen him fight.
Yeah.
And who has he lost to?
I
I think didn't Wilder already fought him already?
Brazil. I think he lost
did.
to.
I don't know. I'm not sure.
He lost to one of them.
One
I
of
think
them.
Joshua.
Either Joshua or Wilder.
Yeah.
So it's kind of crazy to say that he's a mandatory, where you could make a case that that Dillian White would be a better option for that mandatory, since he did beat Parker. He gave Joshua a good fight.
Yeah.
So that's where there's a little suspect.
Yeah, I don't know how that works, the mandatories.
Well,
you
I mean,
said,
it's their ranking system. It's
Randy Orton out of nowhere. Shit. I don't know.
My thing is like, there's another heavyweight out there.
Right.
How come
that
pressure
guy isn't ranked up
how
there
come
as a mandatory?
make him the mandatory?
Yeah, that's
Rarely are the biggest names the actual mandatory.
Mm.
It's always like some guy below. Right?
And that makes sense because they want to get those sanctioning fees, and so like why unify when we can like try to break these, and try to get some fees out of them. So
I know it's so difficult to unify a belt nowadays, man. That's nearly impossible.
That's why I brought up Terrence Crawford, like what he did and like how he did it during this time. That's like kudos.
yeah, that's why this next person, the cruiserweight, that's why he's ranked so high, because this guy did unify the division. So this is Alexander Usyk, and he's the undisputed champion. He holds all the major belts, and his mandatory, like he doesn't have one at this point, but he is fighting Tony Bellew on November 10th.
Yeah, and that's huge.
That is huge.
That's a
November
good
10th.
fight.
That's a good fight because Bellew's coming.
Who's showing this fight?
Danza.
Danza, yeah.
The Zone.
The Zone.
The Zone.
All right. I'll be tuning in.
That one's going to be good because Bellew is coming down from heavyweight to dropping a few pounds.
Is that app still working well, Chris?
Look, in my phone, I'm not the type of people that has their apps on the front page. I just want to see the time. That's it. Like the first thing I just want to do is look at time. But now these days, I put Danza to the right and my Spotify to the left.
Nice. You don't need no more. What do you need any more apps? That's all you need.
He said last week he felt like he was driving a car with a brand new oil change.
Yeah,
And
working with that app.
my phone has turned into an Apple now. Like if you look at this, look at the intro. Look, it's amazing.
Looks nice.
Looks nice.
And they're getting big names to
He's the
be
good
ambassadors,
change.
right? They got like Cristiano Ronaldo.
They got Cristiano Ronaldo.
I think they got 50 Cent.
Man,
Get the
making
strap.
moves.
I mean, business
Making
moves for
moves.
sure.
Yeah, man. These guys are.
Yeah, the Zone has a good lineup, and we'll talk about
All right, what else we
that.
got?
So for light heavyweight, so for the WBC, believe it or not, the champion is still Adonis Stevenson, and he will make his mandatory defense against interim titleist Alexander Gvozdyk on December 1st in Quebec. So it's a hometown fight.
All right, next.
So, well, this is interesting because he has to fight, former title holder Badu Jack if he gets past this guy. So moving on, super middleweight. So we talked about this guy, super middleweight, Gio. So your boy David Benavidez,
My man.
your boy David Benavidez,
My man.
did get stripped of his title for tasting positive for cocaine.
Illegal substances.
Did you saw what they called him right now?
No, what did they call him?
No, the WBC, because of his suspension and he was stripped from his title.
Oh, champion. And
He's a
recess?
champion in recess.
I mean,
That was like Fury, right?
yeah, I was gonna say that's like Fury, right?
Champion
I like that.
recess.
Champion in recess.
That's cute.
Taking-
All right, what else you got?
So for that one, he has to. Oh, I guess it's gonna be a vacant belt or a vacant fight between Anthony Durrell and some nobody. He lived it in. I don't know.
All right, we got middleweight.
Middleweight. Dun, 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 dun. Unified World Champion Canelo Alvarez. So he's scheduled to do what we talked about earlier,
Some respect on his name.
a voluntary defense.
And then the respect goes out the window.
Well, he can fight whoever the fuck he wants, man.
So
We already know with him.
he's earned
You
it.
can't give that guy mandatory.
Nah.
Yeah.
So he has a voluntary defense if he wants to take it. Most likely it will be Lemieux in December.
Yeah. And when was the last time he had a fucking mandatory, dude?
When he fought Khan.
That was a mandatory knockout. That's what it was. Come on, man.
Wow. This one's
interesting.
This one's really. We could really dive into this one. This one pissed me off, dude.
Let's do it.
Let me tell you why it pissed me off. All right. I mentioned to you like leading up to the Triple G and Canelo fight for September, like Triple G needed to find an opponent. Somebody for May 5th. Try to occupy a StubHub Center for that day.
Yeah.
And they couldn't find anybody. And then they put, how about you fight Debrichenko? You're mandatory.
Mm-hmm.
He's like, nah, let me fight this guy.
Yeah.
And when that happened, they stripped him from his belt. That was his first time that he didn't fight his mandatory, and they stripped him from his belt.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't give what did they call it right here?
It's like the interim or the emeritus.
No, what type of? What's the name of why Canelo got away with this? They didn't let Triple G give a voluntary defense. Like, how come they didn't give Triple G that, and they're giving Canelo this right now?
That's boxing politics.
By the way, do you know who's the mandatory
For
Canelo? Like, you saw the mandatory.
it's gonna be the winner, right?
No.
Who is it?
No.
Who is it?
It's been for a long time.
Who is it?
Charlo.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Which
That's
one?
right. Yeah. The Jamal.
Shit, I don't know. They're all the same.
But
Jamal.
Charlo has been waiting for
He's
so
been waiting
long.
for so long.
Yeah,
We'll
he's
give
been
you
waiting
that.
for so long, and now
He was
like
supposed to get Canelo immediately, right? Technically.
yeah, and this
You
is
can't put that on pay-per-view.
what?
That fight,
Which
Jamal
one?
Canelo.
Canelo against whatever his name is. But
Charlo?
I wonder what network that would be on, man. I think we're gonna talk about that a little bit later.
No, I mean this is so cold. They're doing Triple G
That's-
dirty again. Just feeding off to Charlo like another young boxer, like that's more wear and tear for Canelo to have a cool fight in December, let Triple G go to war, and then more than likely he's not gonna fight him in May, or he's gonna more than likely fight him
So
in
who's supposed to fight Charlo?
Canelo.
So Canelo's supposed to get, or Charlo is supposed to get a shot at the title, direct shot at the title, but the WBC has now ordered that
He
Charlo
can
has
do whatever he wants.
Charlo has to fight Triple G, and the winner of that one gets Canelo.
That's cool.
It's like another roadblock for Charlo that he shouldn't have had. Is what
I
Chris is
think
saying.
it's unfair for Charlo and also unfair
Well,
for Triple G.
It's unfair in the sense that he shouldn't wait that long, but I don't think it's fair in the sense of competition because he's nowhere near Triple G or Canelo's level. So why are you gonna get a title shot with the big dog if you can't? You're not gonna be Triple G.
Do you think he has a shot at beating Triple G, Chris? Is
Fuck
that?
out of here, man.
Do you think?
Triple G shouldn't be fighting Charlo
I personally
in
like.
general.
Yeah, I personally like. I
Yeah.
do like the matchup.
The matchup should be interesting.
I do like it. I do see like. Let's just say officially Triple G lost. On the scorecards, and so he does need another fight to earn his shot again. And so I feel like this is a good fight. I would love to see it.
You shouldn't need a shot if you're like the undisputed middleweight champion, pretty much, dude.
Shouldn't, but
You shouldn't fight this lower level guy. Should fucking fight
Why?
Canelo again.
Why is the WBC telling Triple G that you have to fight Charlo in order for you to get a chance to fight Canelo?
Oh.
And how long has Triple G has had those belts
Yeah,
and
true,
done
true.
saying.
and done so many years?
That's what I'm saying.
that's true. That's the WC trying to strong arm a little bit.
They're trying to. I'm telling you, HBO was trying to kill him, and now it's the WBC. So I'll leave it as that.
So what else? What other mandatories?
So that's for the middleweight. For junior middleweight, this is also interesting. It's Jermel, the other half of the Charlo brothers.
Thought we were talking about him the whole time. All right, just go ahead, dude.
There's a 160 and 154. So the 154, he has so there's gonna be a final elimination bout to determine his mandatory. That's gonna be between Julian Williams and Erislandy Lara. So
Oh, that should be good.
that should be good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that should be a good, interesting matchup. Lara.
Yeah, I would like Lara to get that.
Do you like
For sure.
Lara?
I like Lara.
Yeah. What about you, Chris?
I used to really like him after that fight with what's the man that he just lost to?
Heard?
Hurd.
That was a good fight.
That was a good fight, but I was just a little disappointed. I thought Lara should have used his experience.
Yeah, same here. But I always like Lara. I always thought he should have got chances at guys, but guys didn't want to take him on, and that's why I give Canelo credit because he took him on kind of early.
Yeah.
Like Canelo
Oh,
didn't
yeah.
really need to take him on. And you talk about low risk, high reward. Canelo didn't get shit for that fight.
True.
He didn't get money. If anything, people talk more shit because they thought the fight was close.
I remember Richard Schaefer actually telling Canelo to not take that
Yeah.
fight.
Mm-hmm.
He shouldn't have either because Lara has like fucking 200 fans, dude. Like, come on. And then he got the fight just by shit talking.
Yeah.
At that point, I feel like Lara should have got a couple more good wins under his belt and then fight Canelo.
Yeah, with me, I'll never knock off Canelo's resume. He's fought everybody. I do think he lost that fight, but that's just my opinion. But
He always loses, man. What's wrong with you?
Wow.
I mean,
How many losses does he have, fool?
He's got
5?
Mayweather. He's got a lot of.
Nah, according to you.
Yes.
With Conor
Lost to
with
Mayweather.
Conor was
Khan,
close.
he was losing. Hey, he was losing to Khan.
He was losing to Pierce.
Yeah.
He was losing to Khan.
Clearly.
Yeah, no, you can never knock off Canelo.
So who else you got?
This is one is interesting. All right, so follow with me. Sean Porter won the Big Ten title against Danny Garcia. He must make 2 mandatory defenses in a row
What in a row?
per WBC rules. This is where it gets weird. Who do you want Sean Porter to fight right now?
Oh, yeah, we talked about this.
Keith.
Or
Who else is there? Spence.
okay,
Yep.
leave it at that.
Those
So
are
the
only 3 names right now. Honestly, welterweight. There's nobody else.
or Crawford. So then
Yeah.
the first mandatory challenger.
He's not even a real welterweight yet. He beat the Hornet, man.
Yeah, the horn is no joke.
No, it's
Dude,
not.
I was watching highlights of that shit actually the other day on YouTube because it just popped up.
Versus who?
Fucking Hornet, dude. Australian dude. Guy fights like a man. Never mind.
Yeah, head first.
Fights like a cartoon, dude.
So, anyways, Sean Porter won the
Dude,
belt.
I saw Crawford give him a body punch. This fool took like 4 steps back, dude. I was like, what the fuck? No type of balance. All right.
You got to show that
Dude.
for sure. You already know what I mean. So, when Sean Porter beat Danny Garcia, he now needs to make 2 mandatory defenses. But this is so weird because, look, the first mandatory challenger has not been determined.
That's what they said. I'm like, at least
okay.
throw a name there. Like,
But guess what? The second mandatory challenger is Andre Berto. Dude, let me ask you something. How do you not know your first?
Didn't he retire?
He's still fighting, dude. He's still fighting. But look, how is it that you have not determined a fighter for the first one?
But you already got the
But you got
second
the
one lined up.
did he just like? Did we just talk about if he loses to Alexander, he's like he should retire?
This
Did we talk
is
about
so
this?
weird. Yeah.
He barely itched that win out. Man. Yeah.
Oh, this is interesting. I didn't actually read this. So I guess more news on the welterweight saying that also when former titleist Keith Thurman, who owns a win over Porter but vacated the WBC belt and still holds the WBA due to injury, returns to the ring, he has the right to immediately fight for the WBC belt.
It's almost like it's gonna be Keith Thurman if he comes back. If he comes back, I've seen some clips of him. He's a little overweight. Keith doesn't look like he's ready to come back anytime soon.
Just with this news that you get, do you actually see Sean Porter versus Errol Spence happening?
Nope.
Nowhere in that I heard Errol Spence or even close to Errol Spence.
And you saw what happened after.
But I want to see Errol Spence fight these guys, dude.
Yeah.
Like I said, I want to know if he's really that good because I know you guys rate him so high, but he hasn't beaten anybody.
You're talking about Errol?
Yeah, Errol Spence.
That Kelbrook just puts him very close up there.
Kill, bro.
Like,
All right.
In England, which is tough. We talked about how tough it is to win overseas.
All you have to do is punch him in the eye one time and it was a wrap.
So
Thank
you did all that
Triple G.
work.
All right, what else we got?